Hey, it's MK, and I am here with another Mixed Media Mayhem layout for you guys today. And today we are lifting this amazing creation by Giselle Homer. She created this for Hey Little Magpie, and I am combining it with Baby Got Scraps. So I have these two photos of, siblings being siblings. I have this amazing seahorse piece from Dusty Attic, and this is the large seahorse, and then she also has a smaller seahorse. I love all these mechanical fish stuff she has, you guys. I'm in love with it. From Some Assemblage Required, I have a few pieces left over from the Delicate Fronds set, and then I also have a couple sets of the Delicate Leaves. I have 2 of each set, but I only have 3 of, I think, out of 5 leaves remaining, because these are the ones that looked the most like seaweed. So that's why I picked and chose what I did. I had this leftover netting that I cut in half from another project, painted it white, and I just had it hanging out. So I'm going to use it for this layout. I have some misfit pieces that are actually from the cruise that's getting ready to come up, but they were too big and I could not bear to part with them, you guys. I apologize. I've got this little embossed piece that was a, basic gray piece that I embossed and inked and whatnot. And then from Simple Stories, Simply Coastal, I have the seaweed piece. This is a Tim Holtz paper that I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm going to try to make it work. And then from Minte, I have a piece of packaging because it was the perfect color. I just stuck it in with my cardstock and ended up. And then from Ciao Bella, I have this rice paper piece that looks like wood grain. So I'm going to try to make all of these pieces work, even though Giselle ended up using what looks like 2 12 by 12 pieces of paper. I'm going to try to stick with the rule on Baby Got Scraps where I only can use 1 piece of 12 by 12 with all of these scraps. So cross my fingers, I'm going to try to make it work. All right, for my mixed media, I have my Distress Oxide sprays, one in Tumbled Glass and the other one in Twisted Citron. I love these for mixed media because you get 2 colors in one bottle. I also have Distress Mica Mica Stain in Burning Ember, Gilding Wax in Zinc. This stuff is so cool. And then Distress Ink in Black Soot. Now, my Gilding Wax is not the same as Gilding Flakes. The Gilding Wax is actually for painting furniture and wood pieces, metal pieces. It's more for home decor than it is for scrapbooking, but I love including it into my scrapbooking because it does highlight the highs and lows depending on how heavy-handed you are with sponging it on. But I just love creating highlights using it because it works just the same as like a rub and buff. And you use your finger and whatnot to rub over all the high points and get that antique look or that brass look or something like that. So that is what I use it. I get it from Dixie Belle. It's dixiebelle.com if you guys are curious. And I absolutely love it, you guys. The chameleon waxes I'm not too sold on yet, but these metallic waxes, and yes, they do stink. I don't know what it is about them, but they do have a smell to them, but not on your project once you use them on your project. It's just them in their little paint pot. All right, so I'm going to take the images, the Dusty Attic images, off of their carrier sheet and get them all cleaned up. Now, this part here is super messy because the laser that she uses actually burns through and creates the images. So when you go to take all these off of the carrier, you do get little bits of black finger, almost like you were reading a newspaper back in the day. I say back in the day, but come on, guys. Are there still newspapers out there? I haven't seen one. I see them in the little thing for like the flyers and stuff. But anyways, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, you get little black things because the edges of the chipboard are burned and, she had to cut it out somehow. And so I just take everything out all at once and then I go wash my hands. All right, so I'm taking my Twisted Citron and spraying the Living Daylights out of my Delicate Fronds and Leaves. Then I'm going to take the tumbled glass, and I'm using a vortex mixer, which is basically a little mixer that once I put pressure down on it, it is actually mixing up my paint at like 3,000 to 4,000 RPMs, getting it nice and swirled and whatnot. And I love using it on my distress oxides because then I truly get that oxide paint mix and I get that real true to life color. I felt like just me shaking it, I was still not blending it as well. And it works really well with mica stains or any kind of glitter paint too. So you really see that glitter picked up off the bottom of the bottle. Sometimes that ball just doesn't get it. And so I really do like the fact that this little mixer is perfect. It does plug in, so you can't really see the cord from where it was. So it does need an outlet to be able to plug into. All right, so now that all my pieces are colored, I'm going to take my black distress ink and just highlight a few of the areas, give this little seahorse a little bit of dimension by, shading him on the edges. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. And then I'm going to take my dauber and sponge my zinc all over the mechanical pipes and gears and stuff. So at first I'm trying to go really light-handed just to see if I like it. And then I get really heavy because I'm like, oh yeah, I like this. Zinc is pretty cool because it's more of a charcoal than it is a silver or a black. So I really like the in-between zinc. Now I'm going back over with the zinc on my seahorse where the light bulbs are poking out of his mane. And then in the back, he's got typewriter keys that are his little spikes on his fin in the back. So I wanted to just highlight those a little bit differently as well. And there is my seahorse. I just have to put him together. Now I'm just taking my black distress ink and I'm going to go and highlight some of the areas because I don't want this layout to be bright and cheery. Well, yeah, I do, but I wasn't really looking for it, and especially with this green, because I didn't bring in green anywhere else on my paper or anything, so I really didn't want the green to stand out. So I'm just barely touching the edges and tips and stuff with my black soot ink. All right, so let's assemble this little guy. I'm just using Deluxe Nouveau adhesive to put him together. And it dries super fast. I love how quick these little elements come together. And they're not super thick either. I mean, they're thick. They have dimension because it's chipboard on chipboard, but they're just not very thick. I love it. Oh, they're so cute. So then I decided that he needs a little something else. So I'm going to splatter him with my Dina Wakley white. And this is amazing. The little vortex mixer is awesome for mixing up all that paint. And as you can see, it's barely moving, but it does vibrate. You just push a little bit of pressure. So there is my little highlights that I'm going to add. And what's really cool too is that my white is going to soak into the mica and it's going to give it a different color. So now I've got lots of color on this little guy, even though I only really added 2 to 3 colors. Well, 4 if you add the zinc, but oh my gosh, he's so super cute. All right, let's get started on this layout. Now remember, I'm using scraps and I only want to use one 12 by 12 because according to the Baby Got Scraps rules, that is what I'm supposed to be using. But it's kind of hard when you have inspiration that uses full sheets of paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is photo mat my photos using the Tim Holtz paper. I just felt like it was a nice neutral color. I really didn't intend to have this entire piece be front and center because it's a spelling book on a water layout. So yeah, that was not going to happen. And basically my photos are my daughter's trying to play basketball in the water, and my son thought he'd be kind of cool to see if, she could feel the splash because he can't because he's wearing a mask. I know. He's silly. They're silly. It was just good fun stuff. And then, of course, she thought she got some in her eyes because, she thought she was a tough girl too. And Gabe's like, well, tell me when I can do it again. She's just laughing. Like, seriously, you're not even going to see if my eyes are okay. So, yes, it is how it is. That's just how it works. They love each other. and they like to torment each other. So I'm going to use my edge distresser to distress all of the edges. It's just my thing. I love adding dimension that way to a layout. And then I'm going to decide how am I going to do this? I don't know yet. But I do need to add a little bit of mixed media because according to Giselle's, she's got some mixed media behind her vertical embellishment cluster that she has on the left side. So I'm going to go ahead and splatter my ink onto my paper, and then what I'm going to do is add the packaging technique using an acrylic block. Now, the difference between this is instead of splattering before, I'm actually getting darker splatters underneath by adding more paint up on top of the splatters. So I really do like the differences between the light and the dark that were created by just going backwards and doing splattering first. All right, so now that I've got that and it is all dry, do you see the difference in the oxides? If I was to just use the citron paint, or citron ink, ink spray, I definitely would have just got that gorgeous green. But because I used the oxide, I got a green and I got an aqua and I got a darker green. I mean, I just love all of these different colors. All right, so now I'm checking to see how tall or how long my wood grain rice paper is. And it is just shy of being 12 inches. And it's like, oh, that's great. And it doesn't cut in my trimmer, so that's even better. I just couldn't get it to work. And I'm just trying to figure out how do I do this? I'm still thinking about this in my brain. So over on my left, I have my little tray where I keep all of my leftover pieces until the month is over or until it gets full and I have to address it. Well, I think I've been doing pretty good because it's nowhere near getting full. I love it. So I'm going to take this leftover piece, I can't remember what layout this one was from, and I'm going to try to separate it into 4 equal spaces so that way I can use it to fill the gap that my wood grain is not going to be able to fill. So I decided to frame out my wood grain, and because I didn't know how else to do it, I was going to use my trimmer to do a little bit and then use my scissors to do the rest. I don't know why I chose to do this. I could have just cut it all out by hand, but this rice paper is really weird to work with, you guys. It just sometimes it's awesome, and sometimes it's just a pain. So I'm going to go ahead and map my photo in the wood grain first, or map my layout. I apologize. In the wood grain first, and I'm not precise on this at all. It's already just a menagerie of make things up as I go along, because that's how good I am. That's how I roll. I'm not good at anything, but that's how I roll. So I'm going to fill the gap with my inner bits of pieces, and I think that they blend in really nice together, even though the wood grain isn't going in the same direction. I felt like it was a good cover up and whatnot. But my paper's still not 12 by 12. I still haven't gotten that far yet. Rice paper also does not like the ATG. So it sticks once you put it down, but there is no movement, or then you have to keep just adding more and all that good stuff. I clearly did not put some pieces down straight, but I'm not even worried about it. You don't even notice it at the end. And once I go through all of this, I have to tell you guys, I end up taking it apart because I forgot to distress my white piece. I know, that's all on me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just taking my 12 by 12 pieces and making my layout into 12 by 12. That's all that I'm doing. So I am, because my pieces are already 12 inches long, I know that it is true 12 by 12. So I am basically just going through and filling in the gap. And some of the gaps aren't true because my wood grain wasn't put on. So some are thicker on one side, some are thinner on the other. And I do weave my pieces in and out just so that way it looks intentional that I chose to do it that way, even though you can't even tell in the end. I don't even pay attention by the time it's done. All right, so I'm going to triple map my photos with all the rest of these papers. I just need to see how big I wanted to make them. So I'm going to make my Minte one the largest of the photos, or the largest of the mats, because I really want it to stick out and blend with the water and whatnot. Plus it matches the spots that were created by the Distress Oxide in Twisted Citron. So I really did like how that Twisted Citron brought that color in, and these were the only colors I brought in to play with. So I just like the combination of the two. So then I'm going to make the this seaweed one a little on the smaller side. So it's going to hug the aqua paper or the Minte packaging. It's going to go ahead and hug those down. So that way we don't have to really, I just wanted the darker photo mat, not really the pattern of the photo mat. And to be honest, by the time I distress it, you can't even tell what the colors are or anything. You can just see that it has a darker mat behind the aqua. It's almost like a shadow. So anyways, going to go ahead and finish all of those up. I triple layer all of them down. And I just left one to show you guys how I put them all together. I usually work from the bottom up, and then that way I can center the photos in. All right, bringing back my paper, you can now see that the white is distressed. I had to pick it all up, but it actually worked out really well. It worked out better this way because I was able to, pick them up and put it back down. Now, I didn't go as far as recentering anything because I do kind of like the differences. So this, this brick paper, I don't know what I was thinking. At this point, I forgot to look at the design. So I was going for a block, and then when I went to go and distress this seaweed, because I thought, oh my gosh, this seaweed would be perfect to add to the vertical element over on the left. Well, then when I added it, I was like, well, what am I thinking with this block section here? That doesn't look like the layout at all. It's not going, nope. And then I'm showing my friend my seaweed, my seahorse, because he's super cute. And then I just realized that I wasn't even following the design element. So I decided to replace the starburst with another photo. So that way I could have two photos on my layout as opposed to just one. And then I do have the ink block, the ink splotch like she does over on the right, and then I'm going to add a small little embellishment just like she did over on the right, and then have a border of embellishments going up and down over on the left. Now mine aren't going to be swirly curly like her leaves are. They're just going to go straight up and down, but I really do like it. And at this point, I'm just going to take my delicate fronds and leaves and scatter them around so it looks even on both sides. I don't want to add too many to the right side because that cluster is supposed to be small. Because I'm trying to tuck these in underneath something that is dimensional as well, I do end up breaking off all of the long stems. That way I can tuck them in a lot easier. I also cut out the webbing that is behind my seahorse and use it over on the right side as well. So the last thing I'm going to do for this layout is pick out a couple different tiny word stickers because the title on this layout is very, very small. So I wanted to keep it very small, and then I also wanted to have like a subtitle. So the title is Crazy Brother because that's what he is. And then of course I like the capture imperfection. So because it's not my kids, being perfect in the pool. It's not them smiling and whatnot. It's it's my son checking to see if the goggles work for him. And not caring about his sister's eye, just, tell me when you're ready for me to do it again. And she's just like, really? So anyways, I went off camera and glued everything down. All of my wood pieces are sticky backed. So that was a super simple add-on right there. And that is how my layout came together. I absolutely love how this turned out. I love that I was able to get the scraps to work in my favor. You can't even tell that I pieced this layout together. I love this, you guys. It was so fun to try and figure it out and make my supplies work. Here are super close-ups of my seahorse. He's so cute. I love him. I love all of the little animals that I got from Dusty Attic. They are just so super fun. All right. Giselle, thank you so much for allowing us to lift you today. I really appreciate it. Please be sure to check out all the links down below for everyone else that is playing along with Mixed Media Mayhem, as well as all the links down below for those that are playing along with Baby Got Scraps. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.